Welcome to Portfolio Builders Club. Tariffs are in full effect. Let's see what happens. Is the market going to drop or will it recover? Taking a look here at the SPY, we see that the market pre-market is actually going to open, looks like a gap down. Then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Overnight, things have transpired with tariffs, more actions taken against China. Of course, we use a lot of Chinese products in America, so not really sure where that's going to lead in terms of prices of everything. But hopefully all parties will come to some agreement and they maybe turn this thing around. But for now, the market is dropping. So as we see here, I'm just going to show a little history here regarding market drops in the past. And let's just kind of really go back. In the 2008 financial crisis, we had a drop in the market of about 57%. Of course, that recovered and we continued on. In the COVID pandemic, we had a drop of about 35%. And then after that recovery from that, we had a drop of about 27%, we say 30% roughly. So now we're into another crisis, you may say. So what we're looking at here is maybe another drop of 30%. If that would happen, we'd be way down here as far as the SPY, down to about 430 level. But if we get a bigger drop, like a 60% drop, that would really take us back in the COVID pandemic level numbers down here. So we really have to kind of watch out for how the market's behaved in the past to sort of gauge what might happen in the future. There's a lot of unknowns. This seems to be a very controlled situation in terms of the catalysts that are causing the situation to happen. So those things could very well turn around overnight, So the main idea here is that at some point, the market will stabilize and eventually start to go back up. Right now, we're on the decline. And there's no sign so far of any sort of recovery from this particular action. As we look at the daily chart here, we are looking at the 25-day moving averages is going down here. And what we want to see happen is price to move back above the 25-day moving average, even if it's under the 200-day moving average, which is the blue area and blue line here. But at least that will show that there's some level of support that's coming in and that we're getting to move back up to the upside. Right now, everything's pointing to the downside. Markets, pre-market, like they're pointing to the downside as well. So we'll just have to go with that momentum. We'll just jump over. Let's take a look at gold futures. This is gold futures. And as you see, gold is actually relatively strong. It has been strong for some time. And as we continue on, gold continues to be strong. A lot of countries and investors are going to turn to gold and have been turning to gold, I think, because of BRICS and other things that are going on, that a lot of countries are looking to have gold as a reserve. So we anticipate that gold prices will continue to move up as they continue to trend. That hasn't stopped. It's been going on for over a year. So we'll continue to watch gold as it continues to move to the upside here. All right, let's just jump into the Magnificent Seven plus a few others here. But we'll start with Apple. And as you see, Apple has really plummeted. We were looking for support at any of these pivot zones. No support found so far, which means we could have further downside. We'll just have to see what happens as the day continues. But again, Apple sort of rolling over here from a daily perspective. Like in any given day, again, in all of our analysis is always the same. We don't know if prices are going to go up or down in a given day. We're just sort of looking at the overall trends and what's happening. Right now, we have major news catalysts regarding tariffs that are shaking the markets up. And we can respond to that and understand what's going on. So here we go with Amazon, push back into this sort of pivot gap zone here. But again, with everything that's going on, we could very well push down below this particular level at this particular time. But we were previously looking to see if price was going to turn up and start to move up. It did not pass this counter trend line, and it did not move above the 25-day moving average, which is the red line going down here. So there's no reason to really be bullish in the market currently. Even if you get a push for a day or two, we're still waiting for these things to happen. We'll jump to Google. Google, very similar story. We were looking to see if it was going to push above the 25-day moving average or above this counter trend line that's drawn in here. That did not happen. We would continue to see downside. And it also broke a trend line that was going up here as well. So downside potential. Looking at Meta, same thing. We were waiting to see if it was going to push up above this trend line, counter trend line. It did not. So it did not go above the 25-day or start trending above the 25-day moving average either. So it's continuing to the downside. So no reason to be in this bullish. It's bearish right this very moment. All right. Microsoft, same thing. Have our counter trend line. We were looking for a breakout because it had broken out several times before and stayed above the 200-day moving average. Now we're below the 200-day moving average, which is the blue area, and we're trending down below the 25-day moving average. So we haven't even trended above that or crossed over our counter trend line. So right now is in a bearish state. There's no signs of bullish movement and bullish stability. So we'll just continue with that. MicroStrategy, so this is tied to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has not been hit as hard as some of the other areas, but because Bitcoin is down, you're going to see this downward movement in MicroStrategy as well. It is now below the 20-day moving average. The 25-day and the 100-day moving average are still up, so there's still potential for this to somewhat recover and not have as bad an impact. But Bitcoin over the years has proven to be volatile as well. So we'll have to continue to monitor and see where we go in terms of MicroStrategy. Netflix, can't count Netflix out. We're always a very resilient organization. You know, if things go bad, I guess people like to watch movies, right? So at any rate, we have dipped back into the 200-day moving average. It looks like we got a bit of a bounce there. Our moving averages are still separated here. The 25 is above the 100, which is the yellow line, and that's above the blue line, which is the 200-day moving average. So they're still separated, you know, which still shows a little bit of strength for Netflix. So we won't count them out completely. But again, market news can change everything. All right, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is taking a hit, still moving to the downside. Looking at sort of like a big wedge here that's been created, but nothing is really holding this up. So we're looking for more downside. Let's just go ahead and clean this chart up because we were looking for some earlier price movement, but we're not seeing that any longer. So we'll sort of clean this chart up so that we can just get a better view of what's going on. So. All right, next we'll just move on. Let's go to Palantir. So as we look at the Palantir, we see that there's been somewhat of a pullback. Now this, again, is a company that's been relatively holding strong throughout all of this. So the 200-day moving average, the 100 and the 25-day moving average are in the proper order, and they're separated. You know, so we really haven't seen that push down below the 25-day moving average. So we'll continue to monitor this to see if there's just going to be more upward movement or at least some stability while all of the tariff action is going on. But we see very strong signs in terms of how bad it could be for Palantir. Of course, we were anticipating this push up, you know, about 37%, which failed. So as with the rest of the market, is having some difficulty moving forward, but it's not as bad as others. All right, and lastly, we'll go to Tesla. And again, Tesla is our big short. So we were saying we were expecting Tesla to sort of short here, maybe not get above 300 and continue down to the downside, and that's really what it's doing. Tesla is going to have some other difficulties. In terms of later this month, they're going to have earnings, which is marked out here with this E here. Earnings date, it looks like, is the 22nd. So once they have earnings, we would not anticipate those earnings to be very strong. Now, who knows, maybe in some countries they're doing well and that sort of thing, but we wouldn't expect those earnings to be very strong. And we expect that to push the price down even further, even below these levels that it's going to have, you know, based on the tariff action that's going on. And they should have increased cost as well as they bring in a lot of parts from other parts of the world. And if that pushes prices below 200, then we're anticipating that we would also see other organizations trying to get lighter or lighten up their exposure to Tesla. And that may drive the price down pretty significantly into the 150 level. Also, there may be margin calls and different things that where there's loans on these stocks and that sort of thing that may get margin called as we get lower and lower. So this is really the big short. No, I don't think anybody's really anticipating that this short will happen. But looking at the numbers, looking at what's going on, and fundamentally what's going on with the organization, we'd expect that April 22nd is not really going to be a great day. And increased tariffs on imported goods that support this organization is not going to help either. And then also in the markets where they are, like China and places like that, with factories in China may be in jeopardy based on the current climate. So we really, they anticipate here is this is the big short for the market. Anybody anticipating on looking at this? All right, so that's it for the markets. Again, tariffs are in effect. No one knows what's going to happen day to day. Maybe it'll all just go away. But for now, things are starting to drop, and we'll have to continue to monitor the markets to determine what's going to happen next.